Okay, here's the solution for National 5 Practice Paper A, Paper 2, question number 4. Gordon and Brian heading out on a journey, leaving at the same time. Gordon on a bearing of 045, travelling at a steady speed of 4.4 kilometres per hour. Brian heading out on a slightly different direction, a bearing of 100 at a speed of 4.8 kilometres per hour. We're told if they both walk at steady speeds, how far apart will they be after 2 hours? So first and foremost, we've been asked to find how far apart they are, which means we're looking for a distance. And I think a very important information here is that we're looking for the distance after 2 hours. Well, if Gordon's walking at a speed of 4.4 kilometres per hour, then after 2 hours, Gordon will have travelled 8.8 kilometres. And Brian, who was travelling at a speed of 4.8 kilometres per hour after 2 hours, he will have travelled 9.6 kilometres. Now, again, we were asked to find how far apart they'll be after the 2 hours, which means we're looking to find this distance here, this straight line distance between Gordon and Brian. You can see we've built ourselves a triangle there. We've got a couple of sides. There is a little bit more information in the question. Gordon on the bearing of 045 means that when we measure the bearing clockwise from north to Gordon, that allows us to say that that angle in there is 45 degrees. Brian, who is travelling a bearing of 100 degrees, means that clockwise from north, this whole blue angle here is 100. So what we're really looking for is an angle inside of the triangle that we've built, and that's the difference between the blue angle and the redder coloured angle here. 100 take 45 will give us the angle inside the triangle, in this case 55. This angle in here is 55 degrees. Now, we've put all the information that we had in the question onto our diagram, so it's time to think of the actual strategy that we need to use to answer this. We have got two sides and the angle in between them, and that suggests the cosine rule will help us solve this. Cosine rule is given to you in your formula sheet, and the cosine rule looks like this: a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos a. Don't try and remember it, just go to the formula sheet, make sure you transfer it correctly. Now, in this question we don't have an a, a b or a c. You can redraw and relabel the diagram if you want, or you can use the names and locations that we've been given. G makes sense as a letter to represent Gordon, B for Brian, and H for the hostel, which allows us then to label the side that we were looking for. So opposite H there would be little h, lowercase letters for side lengths. Opposite Brian we'd have little b, and then opposite Gordon this is side G. So what we can do here is we can rewrite the cosine rule using the letters that we've been given in the question. It's very important that you do this. Writing the formula down with A, B and C doesn't relate it to the question, so make sure you use the letters you were given, which means our version of the cosine rule is going to be calculating h squared, and it will be b in this case plus g squared, take 2bg cos, and it's not a this time, h is the angle that we're using. So h squared here will be 8.8 squared plus 9.6 squared, take 2 lots of 8.8 multiplied by 9.6 multiplied by the cosine of whatever h was, and in this case h 55. So continuing through to work out h squared, this is where you'd reach for your calculator and keying all of that in one go, making sure your calculator is in degrees mode, that there's a d or deg at the top of the screen, gives you a value for h squared, which is 72.6885, and some more decimal places. You wouldn't want to round it there, just keep that value on your calculator and then take the square root to actually allow you to find out what h is, and h turns out to be 8.5257 and some more decimal places. We're going to round this. There was no rounding actually specified in the question, so it's up to you to round it appropriately. I think that 8.52 kilometres to 2 decimal places is appropriate rounding for this question.